Hello and welcome to episode 191 of the Filmmakers Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk filmmaking from indie film to studio films and everything in between. How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to F it up, in our very humble opinion. I am Giles Alderson. I'm a writer, director, and I'm a producer. And I'm joined today by the fantastic producer, Lucinda Rhodes-Takra. Hello, Lucinda.
Hi, Giles. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Very well. Now, we worked together on a movie called Arthur and Merlin Knights of Camelot, which is out now on Sky Store and Cinema and should be out in the US in December. Is that correct? Do you know any more details than that?
I really wish you wouldn't put me on the spot with dates.
I was going to say, I'll put you on the spot.
I have no answer. But I tell you what, I'll come back to you on that. And the next episode we do together, you can put it in the show notes.
Great. Until then, everyone, you can't watch it unless you're in the UK. I don't know where else it is. But we had a lot of fun on that. We had a lot of fun making that movie. And there's a whole episode, which is 172 and 173. It was part 1 and 2 where we talk about the making of Arthur and Merlin. We had a load of cast and crew on to talk about that, which is brilliant fun.
And we were joined by Andrew Roger, our cinematographer, who was also co-hosting with us both that day. So that was lovely to reunite and talk further about the ups and downs of filmmaking in Wales.
Speaking of the ups and downs in filmmaking, we are both about to start production on new feature films separately. You are making
that upsets me. It really upsets me.
It upsets me too. We should just be doing.
I really like working with you. Together. You're very good at what you do, actually.
And you too. You're very good at what you do as well. Round of applause for each other. We're both amazing. Modest as well. Very. Oh, I haven't. Today's episode is with the fantastic Dominic Monaghan, who is just brilliant, and we had a brilliant chat with him. Obviously, he talks about Lord of the Rings. He talks about his time making Lost, where Lucinda sang him a lovely song, which you'll get to hear. And he also talks about his brand new feature film Pet, which is out now. Right? What did you gain from the episode? What did you remember from chatting with the wonderful Dominic Monaghan?
So one of my favourite parts of the interview with Dominic was when he discussed how he gets rid of some of the darker characters that have encapsulated his body when making certain films. I found that very interesting. It's not something that I'd heard from an actor before, because you kind of assume that they just get rid of the character and switch off. Yeah, so that was great. I know that some of our viewers will find that interesting.
Totally. I think that's going to be really interesting to hear for you lot, which is coming up. And also, he talks about producing and acting at the same time, which he's been doing more and more of. It's a twisted love story, his Pet. It's so good. It's really, really enjoyable. Absolutely is. So, Lucinda, myself and you, at the moment, are both about to start making feature films. A feature film, but separately. I'm 3 weeks away from shooting. You're 2 weeks away from shooting. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what you're doing and the preparation during COVID, this new lockdown we've had, about how the hell we are still doing it?
I don't know if it was a shock to everybody, actually. It wasn't a massive shock to say, for the government to say we were going back into lockdown. It was, I think everybody over the weekend kind of went into this panic mode. Are we doing it? Are we not doing the shoots? And obviously for us as producers to take a step back, knowing we're going ahead in 2 weeks, and just to have a look at everything, the guidelines, and it actually, it isn't as bad as the shock that everyone went into on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
I think it was just hard for everybody to hear it again, and everyone was like, no, we really need to get back to work. We need to be creative as well, because people are kind of losing their minds a little bit. They're not creating. They may be writing, but then they're not hearing the words off the page. So a lot of people just really panicked that the film wouldn't go ahead, but it is going ahead. Biggest kind of hurdle for us, because it's first day back in the office after hearing about lockdown. It's Monday. You know, the phone went off the hook, the emails went wild. It was like, okay, Jeet and myself, who's my producing partner and also my husband, we tend to stay very calm during this process. I know you do as well, Giles, because there's no point in panicking. When somebody panics, mistakes are made. So you have to sit back and assess what's happened. Okay, we've lost accommodation, we've lost the locations, we've still got crew, but we can't house them, and nobody lives in the area where we are filming. And I've got cast flying in from LA, from Spain, different areas in the UK. It's been a challenge, but at the end of the day, it seems to be working out. We have very strict guidelines for how we're going to deal with a COVID set. So yeah, it's okay. I'm confident. How are you feeling about it 3 weeks away?
Yeah, I'm confident too. I think we've still got a couple of crew members and our cast yet to get. So it's a little scary, but it's also that's part of the fun, right? You know, you can get cast members the day before if you really have to, but I'd rather not. I'd rather prepare a lot and work with them. And
no, we've done that before, haven't we?
We have done that before on Arthur and Merlin, and it's not as much fun, that's for sure, being on set not knowing who certain characters are going to be. And I think for this I really want to cast my leads as soon as possible, but apart from that, it's going really well. So some of the crew from Arthur and Merlin you've got, which is amazing.
It's really nice. I like to work with familiar people, and it's lovely. It is sad that you won't be joining us.
It is sad, but I'm making my own movie, so
you are.
It's fun and games. So basically, we'll fill you in on everything that's going on up to the lead up of that. And when I'm on set, I imagine Robbie will take over. I'll do some live stuff from set for you. See how we're getting on. We'll see how I feel. If I'm not too tired, I'll do as much as I can for you. But yeah, super excited because today's episode is with Dominic Monaghan, and we're about to get to that. Lucinda is a big fan, and so am I. And who isn't? He's a brilliant actor and a really cool guy as well. Couple of shout outs for you. Jack Tarling got in touch. Now, Jack Tarling is the producer of God's Own Country, and he has a new platform set up for filmmakers. It's called Mother Tongue, and he is looking for filmmakers who from the UK who are writing in a different language, and they have money to give filmmakers. So if you have anything and you've got a script in Welsh, in Farsi, in whatever other language you've got, but set in the UK, he is looking for your project right now. The link to that is in the show notes. It's called Mother Tongues. Get in touch if that is you. Screenwriters, filmmakers, start looking at it. This is available now for you to go make your film next year. Get involved. And this episode is sponsored by Performance Insurance. Performance Insurance are so wonderful. They're really lovely guys. If you need short-term or long-term insurance for your films right now, and they're on top of the whole COVID situation, then do get in touch. I've been with them for years, and they are so lovely and incredible. So whatever your needs are at the moment, go to performanceinsurance.com. Links to that are in the show notes, and get your insurance with Performance. Say I sent you. Say the Filmmakers Podcast sent you. Cool. Shall we get to it, Lucinda? Shall we get to this week's episode with Dominic Monaghan?
Let's do it. Let's go.
All right, here it is. Enjoy, everyone.
Hey, remember me? I was just wondering if you wanted to get maybe dinner. I don't know about you, but I love seafood. There's a place on Wilshire. Yeah, we could. Tonight? Holly, right? Holly Garling.
Yes, Eric.
Hey, babe.
I'm serious though, Hall. Move on already. Someone's popular. Who's the guy? I already sort of have a boyfriend, so.
No, you don't. All these people who talk about love like it's this lightning bolt. Love's not a lightning bolt. Real love takes work.
Are you really gonna lecture me on love? You're keeping a girl in a cage.
I'm not doing this for me. Doing this for you.
How's it going?
And you're in.
Are we here? I know.
Whereabouts are you guys?
I'm in North London.
I'm in the middle of Suffolk in the UK. Have you been there? Do you know it?
Yeah, I've been to Suffolk. I think I chased a girl around, kind of.
In a creepy way or in a kind of nice way?
It was consensual.
It was good.
For the most part. I mean, I'm from Manchester. My parents generally live in Spain, but they're trapped in Manchester right now. But obviously I check in with my parents and my family, but how's everything feeling coronary wise, and as you're moving into kind of an autumnal vibe in England?
I'm still quite nervous, I have to be honest. Being in Suffolk, myself and my husband, we're able to kind of self-isolate in general anyway. We've kept ourselves away, and now everybody is going out and socialising a lot more. And I see my girlfriends are socialising there in London. I'm like, how are you standing so close to people? So I'm still quite nervous moving forward. I mean, Giles has been in London, so you've seen a completely different flip side.
I think it's really interesting. People are sort of very scared, but also they're getting on with stuff. So there's a lot of, certainly from the filmmaking side, there seems to be a lot of stuff happening. Suddenly it's taken a turn where people are going, oh, okay, we're ready to go in production. The money's there. Let's go. Let's just all do it COVID safe. I mean, Lucinda are producing something right now that's actually filming right this moment. And we've both got other productions going in November. And it's suddenly like, what? But in terms of what the feeling's like, I think everyone's just in denial and a bit pissed off. And it's going to get worse. People are going to get really pissed off come October, November.
Yeah.
And we're in October, November, December even, turn of the year, people are going to be like, oh, fuck's sake, I'm over it.
And a lot of these Christmas restrictions, which I think there will be, they'll be like, look, have your Christmas in a safe, responsible way, but it's not going to be parties on Oxford Street and fireworks celebrations and Christmas decorations, and we don't want 15 people in the same house type thing.
Totally, so. I know.
They won't have that New Year's Eve in London, will they? Because normally
No chance. No chance. What about you? Because you're in LA, right?
I'm in LA. My parents are in Manchester. I don't think I'm coming back to Europe for Christmas, because obviously a 2-week quarantine in my parents' house and then a 2-week quarantine in my house. So basically a month in 2 different houses seems to make no sense. I have a tiny group of friends here, some of which are probably going to stay here, some of which might move around. I'll probably do Christmas with, 2 or 3 other people, and it'll just be at the same with everyone else, just something that you have to get used to, something you get on with. But I mean, we've got a truly insane political situation going on right now.
Truly insane.
And a debate happening tonight, and very angry people. And it's the most politically kind of divisive country, and also probably one of the most poorly educated English speaking countries I've ever spent time in. So you get angry, stupid people coming together to fight each other. No bueno. Anyway, we should get talking about this, because I could talk about it forever.
It's amazing. And I've got friends in LA right now who are leaving, British actors, filmmakers who are leaving. They're literally going, I'm not staying in LA anymore. And they're coming back to the UK. And I'm like, really? Yeah. Nothing's filming there these days. It's too hot. There's shit going down. Like, do you know what?
Yeah. It's a tricky time for sure.
Totally. But anyway, we're here to talk to you obviously about your filmmaking, your career so far, and what you've been up to, and obviously talk about Pet, the film that is released just now, which is super exciting because it's just, even though it was shot a little while ago, and I know exactly how you feel, because a film that I made in 2016, 2017 has just come out now, The Dare, and it is one of those where you go, oh, we're talking about something we made a while ago, but at the same time, films take a while to come out. Do you want to talk a little about that process and how that feels, first of all?
Yeah, I mean, and it even goes even further back for me with Pet. I was going to do Pet in between seasons 2 and 3 of seasons 1 and 2 of Lost.
Wow.
Which is in the early 2000s.
That's a long time.
There was a long time ago, but there was a writer's strike which put the kibosh on it. And then when we came back, certain actresses that we were keen on having played the role of Holly, came and went. One actress got pregnant. One actress fell out because she felt like the script was a little hardcore, which, you know, it is a little hectic. And it just kind of got put on the back burner. I was making a computer game for Microsoft called Quantum Break, and my agent called me on a break, but not a quantum break. And it's a terrible joke. And
it was good though. I like that.
And thanks. And said, hey, that pet project is back almost 10 years later. And I said to him, well, you know, this was supposed to be a guy who's left school, probably not gone to college, got a crappy job, and now sees his high school sweetheart. I said, this is now going to be someone who's left school for a significant amount of time. Let me pitch to the producers that the character becomes even darker, even more sad, even more isolated by the fact that he's clearly never had a girlfriend. He's got no friends. His life is on hold. He's like a man child, you know? So I pitched it. They loved it. And then we shot it like in 19 days in LA, which is pretty fast for a shoot.
Yeah.
With the wonderful Ksenia Solo, who was kind of the final kind of piece of the jigsaw.
I mean, she's fabulous, isn't she? Who played Holly.
Great.
She's so good. Yeah, really good. You'll know her from Black Swan, Lost Girl, stuff like that. She's just brilliant. It's really cool.
I always say to people, you know, obviously I've been lucky that I've been involved in some projects that people are aware of. So usually when I'm walking down the street, it is Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or Lost or something like that, X-Men or something like that. But when people say to me, what's a film or TV show that you've done that you really like that I might not know about, I always mention Pet, because it seems from the outside to be very much kind of weird boy meets girl, kind of stalker, kind of, you know, moving into a little bit of a thriller, chiller vibe. But without revealing any spoilers, it is not that film. What you come to realize is he is not who he thinks he is, and she is not who you think she is. And, you know, tables turn and there's a lot of things that change. So I think people might move into Pet thinking, I know what this is going to be. It's going to be about a weird guy who puts a girl in a cage. And that's kind of the movie. No, it's not that.
No, it's really not. And it's the fact you keep her in your animal shelter where you work as well. It's just really interesting. I think the whole concept is just fascinating. What was it? Yeah. Obviously, you haven't done that many horror films either in terms of, you know, especially with this. It's gory. There's a lot going on. What's the difference then working in like a horror compared to doing something like Lord of the Rings, where it is, again, you've got quite a lot of blood and you've got lots of action going on, but at the same time, you know, this is you unhinged and then having to go, oh, maybe I'm not the unhinged one, which is brilliant to play.
Yeah, I have to admit, horror is probably my least favorite genre in film, and I'll you know, preface that by saying I'm obsessed by movies. I'm usually watching a movie or two a day. And that's not to say that there aren't notable exceptions in that genre that I absolutely love. Let the Right One In is in my top 5 movies of all time. Just a flawless movie as far as I'm concerned. The Exorcist is incredible. The original Halloween's incredible. Nightmare on Elm Street's incredible. Section 9 is incredible. You know, there's a lot of scary films that I love, but I am aware that the world, my experience of the world, can be a genuinely, authentically scary place. And I don't necessarily put myself in a place of wanting to be entertained by being scared. I can walk outside of my house and be scared. I can watch the fucking news right now and be scared, you know? So horror is not necessarily a genre where I'm like, I've got to do horror. Like, if it's a good script, it's a good script. The thing for Pet with me is it felt much more like a thriller. That's not to say that there aren't scary elements to it. My job doesn't really change, honestly, Giles. Like, I have to try and present a character that people might think they could meet on a bus. They could be sat next to in a bar. Someone who is completely 3-dimensional. That's my only job in everything that I've done. So even way back to Lord of the Rings or the characters that I've played in, fantastical projects like Star Wars, my job is always, how do I make this person feel real, that you could know this person, that you could meet this person? If I achieve that with Seth, the script, the narrative of the script should do all the hard work for me. That's great. It's a really good answer, because working in horror is, like, sometimes it's elevated as well, because in real life you probably wouldn't react that way. After a while you can't scream for that long, or you can't be that fearful for that long. You can't keep doing the same things, banging your head against a cage, whatever it is, because you actually can't. In horrors, so many people get hurt more than you would in real life when you do things that you wouldn't do in real life, like go down that corridor. Though saying that, we've seen so many people not wearing masks, or so many people gathering in places where they shouldn't. So actually, maybe we would do those things in that situation. So it's, how do you cope with that then? Because you do have to, like I say, elevate those moments, and you can't just step away from that when you have to be intense for so long. As an actor, how do you cope with that intensity? I try as hard as I can to, in any project that I do, in situations where the mood is elevated, or the situation that you find yourself in is an elevated kind of moment, it would be an elevated moment in someone's life, I try as hard as I can to spend as much time with it as possible. So those intense moments in Pet, I spend as much time with the script, reading over it, so that I become familiar with it. Because what we tend to find, if you look at people having those moments in real life, is most of the time while they're going through that, they're just A, in the moment, and B, kind of in shock. So you don't tend to have these, big Fatal Attraction, Alfred Hitchcock reactions to things. Lots of times you'll find slightly incongruous things happen. Like if someone gets into a car accident, instead of, being in pain and screaming out for their loved ones or their parents, sometimes they'll start laughing, or sometimes they'll try and walk it off. They'll have a broken ankle and they'll be embarrassed that someone saw them get hit by a car. So they'll stand up and try, I'm fine. And you're like, no, you've broken your ankle, So sometimes the reaction is not what you'd expect. So in those shocking moments in scripts, I just try and think, okay, your initial thought is to play the moment. Oh my God, that's a scary thing. But lots of times when a scary thing happens, you might not react in that way. You might grab a banister, or you might trip and slip, or something like that. So I get familiar with the freaky moments, and I always underplay it. All the actors that I love, that I try and watch and get influenced by, and try my hardest to be kind of inspired by, are the ones that, honestly, it's like a secret in the business. They kind of do nothing. If you watch Anthony Hopkins, he doesn't really do a huge amount. He lets the scene occur on his face and lets the audience understand what his face is doing. But really, he's a blank canvas. It's the same with Gary Oldman. It's the same with Daniel Day-Lewis in certain performances, but not all of them. It's the same with Brando. He's just a canvas, and then the audience push their emotion onto his face, and then it reflects back to all of them.
When you've finished an intense role, how do you come down from that? Because you're encompassed by this character, and then all of a sudden you've wrapped and you've stopped. So do you go on holiday? Do you take some time out? Because you can't go from one project, or maybe you can, one project to another, and switch that character from one role to another. So how do you just zen from that?
Pre-corona times, I will often go away somewhere if I can. I'm an avid scuba diver, so scuba diving is kind of a big thing for me. Once you get under the water, you're completely in a different element. So that just takes you away from what you've been doing.
Well, it's a different world down there, isn't it?
It totally is, and they don't respond to any of the social cues that we have up here. They don't care. They're not interested, which is great. My dad is a massive gardener. I became kind of a big-ish gardener in my late 20s, and since then I've been gardening quite a lot. So, and I have a kind of menagerie of animals in my house that have no interest whatsoever in what I've just done, or who I've played, or all of those things that lots of people seem to find important. There is a euphoria that occurs even on every single rap day, every single day that you rap. I have friends in the business, camera operators, focus pullers, stuff like that. And I can tell when one of my technician friends has rapped in their voice, because you can just hear a kind of euphoria. It's like, when you're at school and the bell goes for the end of the day, you're like, you got all this energy, and you didn't have it 20 minutes ago, but you just got it, I get that too. If I'm playing kind of a role that demands you to kind of slough it off, someone like Seth in Pet, who is dark and has a lot of issues, then, meditation's kind of a helpful thing. I was in Peru about, how long would this have been now? 5 or 6 years ago, something like that, imbibing plant medicine for like 2 weeks. And on one of those evenings, I started puking up characters, and I didn't know what was going on. And I had to get told by the person who was working with these plants with me that, like, oh, you just puked up a thief, and you just puked up a liar, and you just puked up a joker, and you puked up a stalker. And I was like, what are these characters? And they were like, these are characters that you are holding on to. And I was able to work out, oh, the thief is that guy that I played in that movie. And the stalker is this thing. And this shaman guy was saying to me, because of the job that you do and because of who you are, those characters stay in your body. You need to get them out. So I was able to puke them out, which is an interesting...
That's really, really interesting.
That is. Were you actually puking them out, though? Was it actually physically?
I was puking up stuff. I hadn't eaten all day. It was palpable. I could feel a change in my kind of system and a lightness in my system. And I called over the shaman guy to find out what was going on, and he was watching, and these guys are just existing on a completely different level, which was difficult for me to understand. I come from a background of science. My dad was a biology teacher, my brother's a biology teacher. There's a lot of science in my immediate family, and I never really thought magic was real until you start kind of working out what these shaman do. And the shaman was saying to me every so often as I was puking, because I probably puked like 8-10 times in 3 or 4 minutes, he was saying to me in Spanish, oh, that you just puked up a thief. You just purged. They call it la purge, which is like the purge. They're like, oh, you just purged up a thief. You just purged up a joker. You just purged up a stalker. And I was like, a stalker? And I was like, oh, that's Seth. Seth was a stalker, And I started to connect that these are characters that sit in my body, and I need to get them out. Otherwise, they take over from me. And I need some space to be me,
Totally.
It's a great question, Lucinda.
So have those characters ever come back since the puking? As in, do you know what I mean? Do you still
did you eat some of that bran flakes and then suddenly oh, Seth's come back because that was on the bran flakes. No. Sorry,
no, I'm being serious.
I know,
it's not a joke. What I mean is, have they stayed with you, or since the puking, do you feel that they have left you and you won't revisit those characters again?
I definitely feel like in the puking, in the purging, that there was a release valve that occurred, and a certain percentage of those characters, a big percentage of those characters have left me. But I am still slightly flummoxed at times by my reaction to certain things, or the way that I respond to certain things, where I think, oh, that's strange. That's not me. I wouldn't have thought I would react that way. And then I have to sit with myself and think, this might be due to the fact that there's a slight confusion in the character that you just played, who had these beliefs or these thoughts or was frustrated by these things, as opposed to you. So it can get tricky. There's a weird thing about when you're involved in a field that is artistic, and I kind of knew this when I was like 13 or 14, even before I started working, that if I didn't get it out on a daily basis, whether that's, acting in front of a mirror or improvising in my shower or painting or writing or something like that, I was aware that it morphed in my body into something different, that it became darker, thicker, harder for me to get out. So a daily need to be artistic or to try and release that pressure valve is something that I've subscribed to over the years, which puts me in a place of meditation, of gardening, of working with my animals, of writing, So there's something to be said for that.
Totally. It's been creative, isn't it? And I suppose there you touched on how when you were younger, and I suppose that for us is something we like to talk about a lot on the podcast, is how did you get into this business? What was it that made you think, oh, I'm going to be an actor, I'm going to be creative? And in there, it sounds like you're already creative, you're already doing these things, but how did you progress from that to doing this as an actual career?
I was a very kind of precocious little kid, very, very confident. I think that probably came from the fact that my mom and dad kind of subscribed to the idea of just let them blow off steam. If they want to chat, if they want to babble when they're little kids, if they're toddlers just talking in their high chair, just go, just talk, express yourself. So I've always been it is good. I've always been in a family dynamic of allowing people to do and say whatever they want. I was, and still am, obsessed with movies as a kid. My dad got us a video player when I was probably 7 or 8, something like that. And on a Friday night, he would bring home a video for the kids, for my brother and I, so that my parents could have a lie-in on Saturday morning. So I would come downstairs in the early morning, watch the film. Then my brother would come downstairs. We'd watch the film together. Then my brother would go out and I'd watch the film for the 3rd time.
Amazing.
Before my parents had even come downstairs. And then I'd be like badgering my mum and dad to watch it again. And my mum and dad would be like, no, go outside, go
do
play,
something else. Come on. Yeah.
So totally obsessed with film as a kid.
What was your first cinematic love from that? Can you remember was a movie that really stood out? Because for me, it was BMX Bandits.
BMX Bandits, Nicole Kidman, right?
Yeah, totally. Great, right?
Probably Star Wars was the big one for me, because once I figured out that Han Solo was also Indiana Jones, once I made that link,
mind blown.
And I asked my dad, because I just thought it was a documentary made in space where they were just showing and then there's a documentary in these tombs showing the archaeologists, and I said to my dad, how can he be Han Solo and Indiana Jones? And my dad said, oh, he's an actor. He puts on a hat and he's Indiana Jones. And then, he puts on a blaster.
That's how acting works. Yeah.
There's just a moment there where I thought, oh, well, I'll do that then. That's me anyway. So I may as well do that, So then moving into high school, I was badgering my drama teacher to constantly be doing plays. I wanted to do 2 a year, but she was like, no, we can only do 1 a year. So I was very enthusiastic about that. Because we could only do 1, I joined Manchester Youth Theatre and did a couple of plays there. I have a friend called Johnny Leather, whose dad was an exec producer at Granada. This is
a great name.
Great name.
Johnny
great
Leather.
name.
Great name, right?
Great name.
So his dad, Bill Leather, shout out to Bill Leather, because he was a big influence on where I got to in my career, was an exec producer at Granada. So this is pre-internet, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was doing this play at Manchester Youth Theatre, and I said to Johnny, does your dad know any agents in Manchester? Because he's an exec producer at Granada. Does he know anyone? And I got a printout, must have been from a typewriter or something like that, of like 15 addresses of local regional agents in Manchester, in Stockport, in Levenshulme, in Bolton, in all of these places. And I wrote a letter to all of them. Hi, my name is Dominic Monaghan. I'm in this play. Please come see me. Please let me know if you can attend. And I got 2 replies. Both of them said they'd come. The rest of them didn't even reply. One of them came and I never met them. They must have seen it and thought, no, he's terrible. And the other one
forget it. Yeah. He's never going to he's never going to be a star. Forget it.
It's like when, like that joke of like going on a blind date and they didn't show up. And then the friend says, oh, do you think they showed up, looked at your face and then left? So I thought like that with the agent. But no, the other agent came and they were like, hey, we'd like to represent you.
Brilliant.
They did.
Wow.
I went to college, Aquinas College in Stockport. I had 2 auditions, one for Emmerdale Farm. It was not Emmerdale at the time. It was Emmerdale Farm.
It was Emmerdale Farm, I remember, yeah.
Emmerdale Farm back in the day, which I didn't get. I went to Leeds for an audition with my mum. I didn't get the audition. I was pretty crestfallen about it.
Surprised. I was an extra in it
aren't
once.
you glad now?
Yeah, well, no, just to make you feel bad, I was an extra in it once. I was 16 and went to Emmerdale Farm, and my shoulder is in Emmerdale Farm. Back then, it meant a lot. People were like, oh, I recognise your shirt. Do you know what I mean? That's how ridiculous it was back then now.
That's hilarious.
It's hilarious, yeah.
Is that your claim to fame, Giles?
It is my claim to fame, yeah.
Good.
I'll take it.
Sorry, Dominic, back to you.
That's all good. I didn't get the Emmerdale Farm audition, which I think romantically I thought, well, I'll go for my first audition. I'll get my first audition, and that will be kind of part of the story. Didn't get that. Second audition was for this regional BBC detective drama called Hetty Wainthropp Investigates, which is the first job that I ever did. And I ended up getting that job. And I've just been working ever since, really. I've just not stopped working, you know. So that's how it happened.
That was amazing. What a cool story. And how great that Hetty Wainthropp was obviously well known at the time. It was something that people did watch. So you became a bit of a known person overnight, certainly in your circles. People must have been like, oh, you're on telly now. Did that change things for you in terms of how you had to be as a person? And obviously that's changed who you are now. It's totally gone into who you are, especially being in something so young.
I don't know if it changed who I was. I was always the smallest kid in my group, but I always had the loudest mouth. You could never shut me up. You know, like if there was a different group of people in the pub that were kicking off with my mates, I was never the person swinging punches, but I was always the person just shutting them down with my mouth.
Right, good.
People were like reaching over through the tough guys to try and hit me, and I'd be at the back going, "What? I didn't say anything. I didn't say what me." I was always that guy, you know. So
you're the one starting the fights.
Yeah, starting them running away. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pushing your mates forward.
I don't think that changed that much. It was it was an interesting time for me because first time I ever really had a job. First time getting paid. You're on the BBC. You're second lead in a show. It's kind of a family show. It's a show for young families and kids. It's very pedestrian. At a time where Manchester was absolutely exploding with Oasis and the Britpop scene, and the nightclub scene in Manchester, the bar scene in Manchester was huge. It was one of the coolest places in Europe to be hanging out.
It was, yeah. Totally,
and I'm in
the club and all that.
I'm in this kind of all right regional detective show where I'm not playing the cool guy. I'm playing like the greasy-faced, spotty-faced, bad haircut kind of guy. So it was a little bit of a juxtaposition with where I thought I was at, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm one of those. I'm one of those guys that's going to be on TFI Friday. I can be on The Big Breakfast with Chris Evans. I'm kind of one of the cool kids. But really, when you look back at it, you're like, nah, you're in kind of a crappy TV show. But
that's amazing to hear from that angle.
Yeah, but that led to...
Because you were successful.
You were successful. But yet it's a weird time. But during that time, you must have been auditioning for lots of stuff, because it wasn't long after that you got Lord of the Rings. And obviously to move us on into sort of your bigger work, because obviously we want to talk about that as well. And do you remember, because there was loads of people auditioning for Lord of the Rings. It was something that at that time quite a lot of people were going for, and it must have been a really wonderful time to sort of get that role. Can you remember the audition? Can you remember a little bit about that?
Yeah, I can. I was going backwards and forwards to London quite a bit by that point, because by the time I got Lord of the Rings, I was 22, so I'd been working since I was 18. Started to spend more time in London, did a play in London, was starting to do TV shows out of London, did a film in Berlin that was cut in London. So I spent a little bit more time in London and started to love London, love the tube map, love the whole riding on the tube. Love Covent Garden.
Love the tube map.
Love the tube map. I
do. You can know all the places and the colours. Yeah. Monopoly map and all that. Yeah.
Well, in New York, I don't know how much time you guys have spent in New York, but in New York, it's like, it makes no sense. It's like, take the A train, take the blue A train this way, or take the 16 red.
Confusing.
Train. Whereas what I loved about London was the Central line runs central. The Northern line runs north and south.
Yeah,
the Circle line,
sense.
pretty much a circle, yeah.
The District line, do you know what I mean? It all made sense to me. So I would study that map and absolutely love it. I loved getting lost in London. I loved finding new places. I was going for auditions a lot, and hadn't nabbed anything too big. But then my agent called me and said, basically, look, there's like an open casting call for Lord of the Rings. He said, obviously, because he was a renowned agent in London, he said, normally we'd put you in a place where you're a little bit more protected. You're coming in under the guise of, this is someone who we really rate. But he said, unfortunately, the Hubbards, who are one of the biggest casting directors ever.
We know them, yeah.
Are just basically saying anyone between the age of 16 and 27, come in, read some scenes, and we'll see if, we'll throw mud at the wall and see what sticks type thing. So I had done this play in London that the Hubbards had been to see, and I'd met them in the bar afterwards, and they had said to me, we really like the play. We really want you to come in for Lord of the Rings. It's going to happen in the next 6-8 weeks or so. Be on the lookout. I was like, okay, great. My dad's favorite book is Lord of the Rings. I'd read Lord of the Rings when I was 14. We had all the BBC Ian Holm recordings of Lord of the Rings where he played Frodo, and obviously in the films he plays Bilbo. So amazing. So I went in, saw the Hubbards. It was a generic read, which happens a lot in auditions nowadays, or maybe all the time. It's a generic read for a Hobbit. So they're not going to have a specific Merry scene or a specific Pippin scene. What they're going to do is they're going to ask everyone to read for Frodo, just to see if you have a kind of Hobbity vibe. It's true.
Yeah.
So I had a skinhead at the time, because I was playing a skinhead in this play, and I'd been punched on the tube. So I had like a kind of yellowy, not quite black.
Is it because you were giving it all that?
On the tube as well, going, the yellow line is the best one because it's circular, and then someone came and went, have that.
I was sat right next to the door that opens and closes on the tube. And I think someone just thought that I was a genuine skinhead, because I had no hair. I kind of looked like a skinhead. And as the door opened for the guy to leave, he just smacked me in the face. And I was like, what just happened? And then he was gone.
And thus ended your love affair with the tube.
That's terrible.
So I did not look very, very Hobbity.
No.
I went in and read for this scene. It's the scene where Gandalf knocks on Frodo's door and he welcomes him in and says, oh, where have you been? And they have a little catch-up type thing. Once that was done, John Hubbard, the guy who kind of was calling the shots, said, that was really great. That was really great. He said, can you stick around for the next 10 or 15 minutes? Because we want to ask you a couple of questions about availability and stuff. And I said, yeah, okay. And then he said to me, which was amazing, he said, if you wait in the reception area, he said, we're expecting David Bowie at any point. And I was like, what? And he went, yeah, don't be weird. Don't say anything. Just, but he's going to come in. So I'm sat there, just like reading the magazine. Yeah. And in walks in the thin white Jew in a suit.
Wow.
Looking impeccable. And I'd met him years after, and he's such a handsome, charismatic man. But he, obviously didn't know who I was from Adam, just kind of breezed in like he was floating on air.
Yeah.
And then he came out and he did his audition. And John Hubbard was just basically saying to me, because I was going to France to make a TV show, he said, look, we know you're going to France. We know you're going to be away for 2 months. If we need you to come back to London, can you come back to London? And I was like, look, I'll come at the weekend. I'll fly on a Friday night and I'll leave on a Sunday night type thing. He said, okay, great. I was in France coming towards the end of this film, got a phone call from my agent saying, you might need to fly to either LA or New Zealand potentially to chat with Peter Jackson, because he wants to talk to you and he doesn't want to do it in a situation like this, like an online video chat. So he said, just watch this space. And I said, okay, cool. And then I think 2 days later, he called me back and said, you don't need to fly anywhere. They just offered you the part. And I was like, oh, great. Let's do it. So that was it.
Let's go.
And it changed your life in so many ways. The fact that, it's 3 years over there, right? In terms of in New Zealand shooting.
Just under 2 years.
Just under 2. Okay.
But then what people don't tend to know, so we're there for just under 2 years. We leave, we have a big rap party. Everyone's crying, hugging Pete. Oh God, I'll never see you again. And Pete was like, no, you're going to be back here for 2 months in the summer, and then you're going to be back to do reshoots for the Two Towers the year after that, and then you're going to be back for 2 months to do reshoots for Return of the King after that. So 2 years principal photography, and then 3 years running, we went back for 2 months. And as you guys know, you can shoot a whole movie in 2 months.
Amazing. What's your lasting memories? Because obviously we want to get to a couple of other things as well. A couple of lasting memories, and obviously working with Peter Jackson as well, and over 3 films. How did that develop, and you as an actor develop during that time?
Pete's about as close to a genius that I've met, certainly in his field. There's nothing that he doesn't know about making a film, and he can, if there's a problem on set, something technical, he can work out what that is faster than anyone else. He can put a camera on his shoulder. He can operate sound. He can solve any problems. He's extremely smart. There was a scene that we were doing. Where were we? Oh, we were doing the kind of the whole fellowship, as it were, running to have the final battle where Aragorn says, for Frodo, we all run in there. So we were on set, and Pete had, it was either 4 or possibly 5 little tiny screens, little monitors about this big.
Wow.
On set.
Yeah.
That were units in different parts of New Zealand. Wow. So there'd be a couple of units back in Wellington on his film studio. Right. So they'd be filming a little scene with Orlando, or a scene with Daisy Wenham, or a scene with Miranda Otto. So he'd be talking to us. Okay, guys, great. Reset the horses. Let's make sure that the fires are blazing over there. Give me 2 minutes. Everyone get ready. High energy. Okay, hold that. And then he'd go to this monitor, and he'd be like, okay, guys, so move the camera to the left a little bit. And
that's amazing.
Let's just bump up the lighting. Then he'd go to this monitor. He'd be like, okay, Orlando, that was great. Let's do 25% more energy. And he'd get everyone ready. And he'd be like, okay, hold. You guys hold. Unit 7 hold. Unit 4 hold. Unit 5 hold. And then he'd go, okay, action. And he'd watch us do that. And we'd do it. And then he'd be like, okay, hold, guys. And he'd go, okay, Unit 4, action. And then he'd watch. And we'd be like, you're like playing chess with 5 different people at the same time. It was crazy to watch someone work at that level, and
that's
hugely
incredible.
But in terms
Giles,
of
I think you should try that.
I should try that.
We'll do it on our next film.
Like, the lasting memory is all about the people, right? That might be the case for all of us in our life. When you've gone through an experience, the things that stick with you are the people. So the lasting memory, outside of the less important things, like New Zealand, like the location, like the girlfriends that might have come and gone, like they're flying in helicopters, or the surfing, or the stunts. The real things that stick are your relationships. It's my relationship with Vigo. It's my relationship with Billy and Orlando and Sean and Elijah and Pete. Those are the things that ultimately hang around and tell the story of what you've been through.
It was because you did it together, and you did the whole journey together, and nobody can take that away from you, whether they liked the movie or they didn't. It's something that you created together.
Yeah, and made something so spectacular that the world knows forever. It's there, and you were involved in that, and you can't take away those relationships ever. It's incredible, really incredible. And I suppose, just touching on Lost a little bit, because Lucinda wanted to.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You know, when you were puking your previous characters, you didn't puke Charlie, did you?
I don't think I did puke Charlie, because Charlie's one of the characters that I've hung on to the most and spent the most amount of time with. I was not aware of puking up any Charlie stuff.
And Charlie's your character from Lost.
Most of Charlie's personality is adorable. Most of it, not all of it, So I don't think I needed to get rid of Charlie too much.
So I'm a massive Lost fan.
Right.
And I found with Lost, I don't know if you saw it or not, Giles, but every episode you fell in love with a different character, and it changed throughout the whole season. There was not one that kind of you kept with, because they kept changing. But I really wanted to sing for you, "We Are Everybody." I was a massive Drive Shaft fan.
At like the height of Lost's notoriety, I was asked by a couple of high profile bands to come and sing "You All Everybody" before they came on stage.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I was like, look, that's fantastic. What a great opportunity. But I said, it's not a song. It's just a verse and a chorus. There's no second verse. There's nothing to it. So I said, I'd come on for like 20 seconds. And they were like, yeah, come on for 20 seconds. I was like, no, I can't do that. But high profile bands.
Yeah. That's so cool. And again, talking about...
thank you for letting me do that.
Yeah, no, that's we're all over the moon. But it's really interesting, the high-profile jobs you've done. And, Star Wars is in there. You've Lost, Lord of the Rings. It's incredible, your list. Yeah, a bit of X-Men in there as well. It's like wow. Do you sometimes look back and go, oh my gosh, this is incredible? Do you sometimes sit and go, I've look what I've achieved. It's amazing.
I don't think I do as much about what I've achieved. I do stick to the wow factor, to the wonder of it all, but not necessarily as much the patting of my back in terms of what I've achieved. A lot of this is manifestation, and I wasn't really fully aware of manifestation until it started to come into my life in a really significant way. I mean, I wanted to be in Star Wars since I was like 8 or 9.
Well, that's what I mean. You said it was your favorite movie as a kid. It's cinematic love.
Tattoo. It's a quote from Yoda. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. It's a quote from Yoda.
Amazing.
Wow.
And then there you are on the set of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had a Lord of the Rings poster in my bedroom when I was 15 or 16. And I remember thinking, because I knew I wanted to be an actor at that point, I remember thinking, that would be the greatest film project to ever be involved in. Boom, then you do it. I learned to surf in New Zealand. I wanted to continue surfing. I knew that Hawaii was a hotspot for that. I find myself in Hawaii. It's just, you guys know, it's where you put your intention. And my intention was into these places. So I do sit there and count my blessings very often in terms of what I've been able to do. But, you know, most people in this business give up. I say that to people all the time when they want to be an actor. What's the secret? I just say, most people give up. Most people try it for 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, and they just go, it's hard. And it is genuinely hard. But if you want to do it with all of your being and you are not willing to give up, you will get there. It will happen. It's inevitable. You just have
they put a time frame on it as well, people, don't they? I hear a lot of actors that go, if I haven't made it in 5 years or by the time I'm 35, then I'm giving up. So it doesn't work like that.
No. And then what about then some advice for actors then in that case for working with directors and things you've learned from certain directors over the time? You know, what do's and don'ts, if there's any you can give us. I mean, it's not that easy, I know, but it'd be really interesting to hear your thoughts on working with directors and producers and on a film set. Acting
is listening, right? Stanislavski, one of the more famous quotes by Stanislavski is that acting is listening. And I do subscribe to that. You have to be a consummate listener, and that begins with the director. Whatever they want to get across to you, whatever they want to try and appeal to you in a scene, you have to listen to them. Now, that's not to say that you might have a differing point of view. I've been approached by directors that have said, whatever, I'd like you to be a little bit more angry, or I'd like you to be a little bit more sad. And in my head, I think, I don't necessarily know if I want to play that, but I'll give you that option because it's not up to me to decide what you're going to choose. That's up to you and your editor. So if you want me to be more angry, here's an angrier version, but I subscribe to the less angry version. So listening is key. I wouldn't be too overly concerned with being nervous on set and being anxious on set, certainly in the kind of early part of your career, because everyone gets nerves. Everyone's a little unsure about what they should or shouldn't be doing on set. In a working set that is there to work at its highest potential, every single person is there attempting to put the actor in their most perfect place so that they can do their job. No one is trying to trip you up. Everyone's trying to make you be in your element. So you should gain a certain amount of confidence with that. And then the other thing is, like, if you mess up in a scene, if it's terrible, the director will say, okay, let's reset, let's go again. You've lost 35, 40 seconds of your life. It might feel huge to you. Oh, I said that line perfect, and then I said that line perfect, and then I did that thing perfect, and then, I messed it up at the end. It's 30 seconds of your life. Go back, wipe the slate clean, start again. You always get a chance to start again. So it feels intimidating at first, as is the case with most things. The more you become familiar with it, the easier it becomes.
Great answer. You've exec produced a couple of things as well, which is really interesting. What's the difference then for you coming on as an exec producer or producer on projects when you're acting in them as well? And you've pretty much acted in everything. You've been involved in the producing side.
The difference there is because you're probably representing the actor's narrative as the producer, the other producers in the situation will come to you for questions that they might ask someone representing the actors, So they might say, look, this week we're going to be completely crammed for time. Are you guys willing to work through your lunchtime so that we can wrap an hour earlier at night? Can you go speak to the actors and see how they feel about that? Or, on a Wednesday, we're going to be up the side of a mountain and we can't bring everyone's trailers. Can you ask the actors, can they all sit in one trailer just for one afternoon so that it's not an issue? So some minor kind of union type questions might come towards me. In the early part of pre-production, a lot of that will be, look, we've cast you, we've cast your mother, we've cast your father. We're looking for someone to play your daughter. Do you know anyone? Do you know someone that might know somebody? Things like that. And then you just end up kind of representing the actors in a sense. So if I'm in a scene with 10 actors and we've done an hour and a half of overtime and they're asking for an extra half hour, because I'm an EP, I'm expected, quite rightly, to go over to those actors and say, look, it's going to be one of those nights where we are going to push it an extra half hour, but it's only going to be tonight. Otherwise, we're going to have to wrap early and then it's going to be an extra hour tomorrow. So, are we going to be okay? Little things like that. It's problem solving in real time, which I enjoy doing.
That was great because I was saying Giles and I are both producers as well, and it's interesting to hear from your level and our level that you can still have those conversations with actors, because it's difficult to speak to actors about can you go through lunch, because obviously there are unions in place, and I suppose when you get into that situation when you are a family and you're creating something together, you can have those frank conversations when the agents or the lawyers and the managers aren't around. Yeah, because you have to do all that stuff leading up to the shoot, and then when you get on there, it's kind of like everyone's in it for each other.
Yeah, and
you're the glue.
You guys know, in a working environment, if you're in a situation where you are able to make a decision for the individuals in the group, there has been times as a producer where I've said to one of my producing partners, I've said, look, this actress has been in the last scene for the last 5 days running, and the last 2 nights she was soaking wet under nighttime rain and she's exhausted. Why don't you switch her first scene tomorrow for me, that she can have an extra hour sleeping in the morning? Just little things like that where you're just papering over the cracks. You know?
Do you think it's made you understand the filmmaking side of it a lot more by jumping on the exec producer side of it and going, I understand now why films don't always happen straight away, or understand why there might be issues on set? Has that really opened your mind to that once you started producing?
Yeah, it definitely has. Just catching lightning in a bottle is what they call filmmaking, as you guys know. And, it is kind of crazy. Every time you're on set, you just think, wow, we all got here. There's 130 people all here, all pushing to make this thing happen on this day. And it's impressive to see. It also has made me empathize much more with some of the trials and tribulations that producers might get in, where they're having absolute scheduling issues. Meanwhile, you've got a bunch of actors that say, no, I'm not supposed to be at work until 8:15. I'm not going to get there at 7. It's just not going to happen. And you're able to say, look, if you get here at 7, instead of wrapping at 6, we'll wrap you at 4:30. It's understanding that a little bit of give and take is needed in these situations.
Amazing. Thank you, Dom. We got to let you go, but honestly, this has been amazing. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks chatting with you guys too.
Thanks, Dom.
Pet is available now. Go see it. Honestly, Dom is amazing in it, and it's a brilliant, brilliant psychological thriller horror movie. Really good. Well done, buddy. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe and well in these crazy topsy-turvy times.
Will do.
And
cheers,
you.
Dom. Take care. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
So look, that was Dominic Monaghan. What a brilliant guy. He gave so much information about being an actor and the run up to what you do on set. Really, really cool. I imagine you can find him on the socials and the Twitter, but you can find me at Giles Alderson or the Filmmakers Pod at Filmmakers Pod. Lucinda, where can people follow you?
You can find me at Lucinda R. Thakra, and also my production company Picture Perfect at PicPerf Limited.
Woohoo!
Come and say hi.
We're going to have to get Dominic in one of our films. He's really cool, isn't he?
Well, we've got some going on, so we should start putting a cast list together and get him on board.
Should do. Yeah, I like that he can go talk to the actors for us. He can go over and
That's
go, hey,
brilliant.
Hey, we're running over.
Well, that's normally
Dom.
my job.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Isn't that great? Dom, will you just go have a word? Go have a word. I love that. What a guy.
I love that. Let's go and speak to actors about working through lunch. It's like, okay.
Okay,
I'm
good luck.
Take,
Good luck, Stephen Burke.
Lightning in a bottle.
Lightning in a bottle. I love it. Amazing. Thank you so much for listening. Join us again next Tuesday for another enthralling episode of the Filmmakers Podcast. Thank you for listening. Go out there and make your film, make it happen. And if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it is your duty to send the elevator back down. See ya next Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.